Black Power, salute, sending love out to everybody who helped make sure what they're calling one of the greatest political upsets in the presidential race took place last week. Everything that's being reported confirms that Hillary was the chosen one by the status quo, but because of the resistance, the revolution that is in motion, they had to go ahead and give it to Trump. In large numbers, white folks did get out and support Trump, but even with that, if you look at the popular votes, which again, I don't trust none of their stats, but according to their popular votes, Hillary won, which exposes the scam behind the Electoral College. How many of you have ever identified people in the Electoral College? How many of you have ever questioned people in the Electoral College on what means do they cast their vote? Are they casting it based off of who's buying them off? Or are they casting it in representation of the people voting? And by now we have to know, even if the Electoral College is real, they casting it based off of what the status quo tells them. But also, how many of you have ever even counted the damn popular votes, to verify whether or not they are reporting accurate numbers? But again, all of this shows you've been indoctrinated to a hoax for a very long time, and I again salute the young people who had the clarity, the conscience, and the courage to take in that information and act accordingly by not participating. It was also reported that this election, on the Republican side, almost 2 million people didn't support Trump in comparison to 2012. But on the Democratic side, almost 7 million people did not support Hillary in comparison to the presidential election in 2012. So again, that shows a lot of what we, the people, are doing is working. Using this social media to get out information, using it to, educate, organize people. If you look, one of the corporations that Hillary was a part of prior to her political career, Walmart, back in the day, as they rose to political power, they also put in policies and helped make sure the Walmarts rose to a global enterprise. Not only have they been for many years the number one corporation in America, but they have been the number one corporation around the world. In the same way, for the past 5 years, we've been using social media to expose the dirt and foulness of how they do business. And finally, last year, a lot of the investors started pulling out of Walmart. And then the beginning of this year, they had to start shutting down hundreds of their stores. That's basically the same thing that happened to Hillary. Um, all the information that was put out, the mainstream media was not covering it. But because so many people just kept going at it and getting that out there and exposing how foul she was, it allowed the younger generations and the more conscious voters to sit back and say, hey, you know what? Fuck that. I can't support none of this crap. And we see what happens. The status quo had to pull out from backing her. So it's letting us know what we're doing is working. But now we have a new player, a new face, a new front person who we must identify. But again, not just him, identifying who the puppet masters of all this madness is. And a lot of information points to the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and a couple other families. But we have to stay firm in identifying and exposing how that trickles down to the masses and how the masses is supporting keeping them in those positions. And ultimately, it's going to come down to us abstaining from participating in a lot of this junk. Whether it's just eliminating consumerism as much as possible, boycotting as many of these American and European corporations, or just it's going to get to the point to where the working class is going to have to start striking again. One of the things people kept saying they were voting this year for is because our ancestors died for the right to vote. But again, part of our ancestors' true political power was in the fact that they sacrificed. They strike. They striked from work. they boycotted. The bus boycott was 380 some days. You know, people walked to work, people carpool, but it's took and it's going to take sacrifices. It's not going to be as convenient as going to a polling booth and voting for the lesser two evils. Um, that time is up, but we are in a time right now where the momentum is in favor of the people. You know, a lot of these folks out here protesting right now, and it's been claimed and identified that again, white people such as George Soros is funding some of this through one of the groups called MoveOn.org. But again, at this point, they are in a chaotic situation and trying to get some stability back in their order. You know, all of the destabilization they've been going around the world doing in Africa, Asia, different countries, South America has now backfired on them. The same games they've been playing on other people is now put the fire on their ass. And we as a people have to stay firm in identifying they're trying to save themselves right now. They're trying to save their world, and it's going down quickly. And as long as we keep sharing the information but stay open to the information, because again, a lot of folks didn't want to hear about this not voting and not supporting Hillary, even though they saw all this foul crap she was doing. Some people didn't even want to investigate or identify whether it was true or not. They just wanted to, oh, Trump, 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 because that's what the media scared you with. But yeah, at this point moving forward, hopefully now that they got Trump as the front person who's just straight out telling you, you know, he's going to do all this foul shit, hopefully y'all will start being open more to using the social media for its higher purpose of abstracting this information and then sharing the information, but then getting out and acting on it. Again, with a lot of the protesting that's taking place, I think we really have to look at some lessons we've been learning since 2011. 2011 is when they started the Arab Spring to destabilize folks over in Africa, but also later on in that year, the Occupy movement started. And what a lot of us in the black community saw was that we needed to be more involved in that type of resistance, not so much following what white people were doing, but they were correct in identifying and holding these corporations accountable that socially engineer these conditions that are destroying us. So a lot of people sitting back right now, you know, that's a white thing, let them get out there. But here in LA, they were out there 100,000 deep yesterday. I mean, at the very least, get out there and try to exchange ideas with people, try to get people behind some of your actions. That was one of the things we saw with the Occupy movement, where we try to bring it back to the hood, and in some cases, some of us went there and organized the few that we could in those encampments and engaged in different actions. That's where we are at right now. Yeah, it was great that white people are on two very exposing sides, because that is how they've kept the masses of blacks and other people of color under their control, by keeping us divided and conquered. Right now, they're divided. So yeah, we have to figure out how best to use this to our advantage. And like I was saying a second ago, workers' strikes is going to have to be a necessary part of this. And some of y'all is like, well, I can't do this because I can't afford my rent and blah, blah. But the way they're engineering this right now, you're not going to be able to afford your rent with your job in a few years anyway. They are rapidly gentrifying our communities right now. And day by day is getting worse. Week by week is getting worse. So if you don't start identifying, thinking, communicating, and trying to organize, strategize with people that you can, and how to fight and resist this now, you're going to have to deal with it later. And if you wait till later, quite often it's going to be too late. You're going to be in a reactionary position. Also, with the boycotts, those are going to have to shift. As I was saying, with the rise of the Clintons, corporations like Walmart came up, but now with Trump, he's going to make sure his backers and corporations he's doing business with now come up. So we're going to have to, again, identify those corporations. I mean, for sure, continue with this Black Friday, Christmas boycott that's in motion right now. And again, with those do not have time limits on it. Those are permanent boycotts. It has to start now, and it has to continue till those corporations are gone. And once these corporations are gone, with the fall of the Clintons, they're going to be falling off. But with the rise of the Trumpsters, they're going to be replacing and reshifting that their resources into other corporations that we're going to have to identify and then boycott them. Also, very seriously identifying the blacks who are going to get behind this Republican agenda. It was reported yesterday he's offering what's called a new deal for black folks. But again, we know every deal they offer us is a con. So in LA, we've already identified some Negroes who are on the Republican ticket. A few years ago, they tried to bring some Minutemen into Leimert Park. We had a big resistance with that, ran them off, but they're going to use some of them old people who are on the Republican ticket, but they also got some new faces that are going to rise. They got some faces that some of y'all going to like and love and listen to what they say and be attracted to and all of this shit. But if you don't stay focused on what they're doing, they're going to get you caught right back up in the bullshit. And again, quite often the Republicans, all they looking for in black people is slave labor, sex slaves, people that's going to go out there and kill for them, or dead niggas. That's all only interest they have shown in black people. And with these wars they got potentially about to pop off, that's where they're most likely going to try to push a lot of black folks. It also showed, this election showed the need to build black media, to support black media. Myself and a lot of people were repressed over this past week. About a week ago, I shared how someone was trying to hack my Facebook by resetting the password. But then on election day, a lot of shit happened, from my live feeds being cut off, to my phone speed being reduced, meaning recorded video took forever to put up. Then I was blocked from posting in different groups where we were winning over a lot of young people. But again, it shows that these social networks are in support of white nationalism, period. You know, they don't give a damn. I mean, they obviously were in supporting Hillary as much as efforts they put in to try to conceal the shit she was doing, but they'll be on Trump's ticket. So we most definitely have to support and build black media. The prison strike is continuing, and that again is one of our that has to be one of our main focuses right now, because again, we got millions of people locked up, and the Clintons, Obama, all of them had admitted they basically locked up for bullshit. And I'm talking about from people who are wrongly incarcerated, to political prisoners, to the majority of people who are incarcerated behind this war on drugs, which we all know white men engineered, white men made a lot of money off of, but it affected black people the most. So we have to get behind this prison strike, which is in the 9th week now. And again, they're already trying to make concessions with that. So again, it confirms what we're doing is working. We just have to stay focused and continue with it. And finally, with Leimert Park, we going out there again today. So all of you who can, come and support. You know, for a few weeks now, I think this is like our 6th week. Different people have said, you know, y'all gonna step up and do things. Again, if y'all don't support us, what we about, how we going about it, whatever. One lady was telling us last week, you know, it's not just Sunday that they're hungry. She was like, you know, throughout the week, they hungry. So, you know, I felt bad because it's taking pretty much all our resources to make sure this Sunday thing continues. So if anyone else out there is considering, go ahead and pick another day out the week. You don't have to come out there and be involved with what we're doing. You know, I'm not, you know, trying to be the leader or whatever. But yeah, our people need help right now. And if we don't get in tune with that, because again, that is the one of the biggest mistakes too many of our people keep making. They keep people focused on individualism. Well, I need me time. Well, I got to do for self. I got to get myself, blah, blah, blah. But again, that keeps us divided. As long as you are focused on self, you are going against a conglomerate of people who want that. So until we get behind each other and support each other, we gonna keep struggling. So please, if you're in a position to do so, either come out today and support us, or find another day when you can go out and support people. Or again, you can go to Skid Row, you can go damn near any freeway overpass and find people in camp. You can go damn near any park and find people in camp. But people need support right now. Also yesterday, we saw the grand opening of one of the entities that is gentrifying the community. They have a museum right there on the corner of 43rd Place and Degnan. But when I went to their website, which I'm going to include in the description, they got like 4 or 5 different places in the Leimert Park area, which not only gives them a economic hold in our community, but it also gives them more of a political voice in our community. So the gentrification is in full effect. We are already talking about how we're going to respond to that, but again, we need your support. This is a situation one brother was telling me he identified as early as back in the 90s. I believe I became aware of it in 2004 when a lot of the shop owners' rent first doubled, then it tripled, and by the time it tripled, people immediately started closing down their shops and moving out. But then I think again it was 2011 when we had the October 22nd day against police brutality in Leimert Park. That same morning, they raided and claimed to lock up like 70 different brothers, members of the 40 Crips. And I was telling people then, gentrification was going to accelerate, because once they take out the front line of your youth, take out the front line of your warriors, then they have free range to do whatever. Because again, most people don't resist in the fashion that they need to resist this madness. So the momentum is in our favor, y'all. The what happened last Tuesday on the election, by not allowing the Clintons into office once again, speaks volumes to what's going on with the people. But yes, the threat of Trump also speaks volumes of the work we have to continue to do. And first and foremost, it has to be about defending ourselves and each other. But it also exposes the work that's been doing as far as these boycotts, as far as exposing what's happening through social media, is having a major effect on the outcome. So keep pushing in the direction that we needed to go. And again, I salute and I thank all of y'all. All power to the people.